Look at your smartphone right now. That cold, glass, rectangle heavy in your palm, flashing notifications that make your chest tighten. You think it's real. You think that influencer smiling from a yacht in Ibiza is a real entity, occupying a real space, possessing a real happiness that you somehow failed to achieve. You feel broke. You feel left behind. And that depression? It feels heavier than concrete. But what if I told you that according to both modern physics and a 2,500-year-old Eastern monk, that spoon you eat with, that screen you stare at, and the very hands holding it do not exist? Not in the way you think they do. We've been running on a corrupted operating system. We treat our lives like a rigid, unchangeable matrix, weeping over shadows on a wall. When I first plunged into quantum mechanics, looking for answers to my own suffocating anxiety, I stumbled upon a terrifying yet beautiful truth. The double-slit experiment proved that particles only materialize when observed. Before that, they are just a ghost town of probabilities. This isn't just laboratory science. This is exactly what Buddha called Śūnyatā, the quantum emptiness. Everything you are chasing, everything that is crushing your soul on social media, is just a temporary ripple in an interconnected web. There is no fixed spoon. There is no fixed you to be a failure. Stick with me, because by the end of this, we're going to debug your mental software and show you how to dissolve the algorithm that's holding your mind hostage. Let's get real for a moment. I know exactly how your midnight tastes. It's 2 a.m., the drywall of your bedroom is cold, and you are lying in the dark. Your eyes are bloodshot, reflecting the infinite scroll of TikTok. You feel a hollow ache in your chest, a silent panic whisper that you are falling behind, that everyone else is living a cinematic masterpiece while you are stuck in a poorly edited rerun. I used to be trapped in that exact same feedback loop. I remember staring at my screen, watching an influencer flaunt a flawless Silicon Valley lifestyle, and feeling this sudden, toxic surge of insufficiency. My hands were literally shaking, reaching for the screen as if it were a life support machine. We treat our phones like a digital umbilical cord, hoping it will feed us purpose, but it only feeds us ghosts. Look at how we consume culture. We watch The Matrix or binge-watch dystopian thrillers on Netflix, thinking we are the enlightened rebels who would choose the red pill. But the moment the screen goes black, we immediately plunge right back into our own invisible prison. We treat our minds like a broken operating system that needs a software update, trying frantically to code our way out of sadness with productivity hacks, green juices, and self-help books. I spent years in that exhausting loop, trying to fix myself. But here's the raw, unvarnished truth I discovered. You cannot fix a shadow. You cannot optimize a mirage. The influencer who made you feel broke, the algorithm that engineered your anxiety, and the desperate you trying to escape it, they are all interconnected projections of a singular, empty mind. Think about it. We look at the characters in the Matrix fighting mechanical sentinels, and we feel this deep, cinematic rush. We buy tickets to escape, paying Hollywood to show us what freedom looks like. But the moment the theater lights turn on, we instantly check our pockets for that 6-inch plastic rectangle. It's an involuntary reflex. I remember sitting in a high-end coffee shop in Seattle, surrounded by people typing furiously on their MacBooks, all of us breathing the same stale, air-conditioned air. I was practicing a trendy mindfulness app, desperately trying to silence my brain. But my mind wasn't a peaceful sanctuary. It was a loud, chaotic stock market ticker of anxieties. Will I have enough money? Am I relevant? Why does my life feel like a poorly optimized web page? That's when it hit me. We are trying to debug a broken operating system using the exact same code that crashed it in the first place. You cannot find emptiness by adding more data to your hard drive. Buddha didn't achieve awakening by reading self-help scrolls or optimizing his daily routine. He had to leave the gilded, hyper-stimulated palace of his father the ancient equivalent of an unskippable Netflix subscription, and faced the raw, unedited reality of decay and death. He realized that the spoon of royal validation was an illusion. The glitch isn't in your external world. The glitch is the invisible, trembling ego that is trying so hard to control the world. We are terrified of being empty, so we fill our screens with noise. But in the quantum realm, the vacuum is where all energy is born. We are all trapped in a cosmic boxing match with an invisible opponent. You hate your screen, yet you unlock it. You hate the anxiety, yet you replay the thoughts that cause it. It feels like an internal civil war. This reminds me of one of the greatest mythological showdowns in Eastern culture, the battle between Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, and the Buddha. Wukong was the ultimate rebel. He possessed infinite power, could travel thousands of miles in a single somersault, and defied the heavens. He wanted absolute control. Sounds familiar? That's exactly how we act when we try to force our minds to be happy. We use willpower like a blunt weapon. We download apps, we read books, we scream internally, trying to defeat our shadow. Wukong challenged the Buddha, betting he could fly to the very edge of the universe. He leaped through the clouds, soaring past stars and dimensions, until he reached 5 massive pink pillars at the end of existence. Believing he had won, he wrote his name on a pillar to prove his triumph. But when he returned, the Buddha simply opened his hand. Written on the base of his middle finger were the exact words the Monkey King had left at the edge of the cosmos. Wukong had never left the Buddha's palm. I remember when the story finally broke through my own thick skull. I was sitting on my floor, sweating, trying to force myself out of a severe panic attack. I was fighting the fear, running 1,000,000 miles an hour inside my own head, trying to find a logical exit. And then I realized I was the Monkey King. My ego was doing somersaults in a quantum vacuum. The entity trying to fix the depression was the very same entity creating it. We are not fighting an external algorithm built by Silicon Valley. We are fighting a glitch in our own cognitive code. We think we are running toward freedom, but we are just pacing back and forth inside a beautifully rendered digital cage. Look back at Wukong. He didn't lose because he lacked power. He lost because he was operating on a flawed assumption that there was a solid, independent him who could conquer space and time. It's the exact same operating system crash we experience when we try to outsmart our anxiety. I used to lock myself in my room, desperate to force my mind into states of zen. I would sit there, teeth clenched, breathing heavily, silently screaming at my brain to stop spinning. It was pathetic. I was treating my own consciousness like a rebellious slave that needed to be whipped into submission. But every time I thought I had suppressed a negative thought, 3 more mutated versions of it would pop up on my mental feed, like unskippable pop-up ads on a corrupted website. That is the high point of the internal war. It's the moment of total, suffocating exhaustion where you realize that your willpower is an illusion. You cannot use the ego to dissolve the ego. It's like trying to wash off mud using dirty river water. We spend thousands of dollars on spiritual retreats, subscription apps, and self-help gurus, desperately looking for a firewall to protect our identity. But quantum emptiness and the Dharma don't give you a firewall. They tell you there is no hard drive to protect. The influencer on your screen isn't your enemy. The algorithm isn't your enemy. The real glitch is the phantom programmer inside your head, the one who insists on claiming every wave of sadness as my depression and every failure as my life. We are terrified of the void, so we keep fighting a war that was rigged from the very beginning. But what if the secret to winning this war is discovering that the warrior doesn't even exist? Here is the cognitive slap that wakes you up from the simulation. You are not the doer. Let that sink in. The voice in your head that says, I am depressed, I am a failure, or I need to fix my life, that voice is not you. It is just another digital notification popping up on the screen of your consciousness. Think of it like this. When an Instagram notification flashes on your iPhone, do you believe you are that notification? Of course not. You are the screen on which it appears. You are the empty space in which it vibrates. This is the absolute core of Śūnyatā, the great emptiness. Emptiness doesn't mean a black, depressing void. It means empty of a separate, rigid, independent self. Just like the double-slit experiment, where an electron behaves as a wave of infinite, flowing possibilities, until a measurement freezes it into a single, hard particle. Your mind is a fluid field of infinite potential until your ego freezes it into a painful, solid I. The next time you feel that toxic spike of anxiety while scrolling through TikTok, do not fight it. Do not attempt a Wukong somersault of willpower. Instead, simply run this immediate, real-time, quantum debugging patch. First, pause and close your eyes. Second, do not try to suppress the negative thought. Let it float, but change your mental syntax. Do not say, "I am anxious." Say, "There is a wave of anxiety appearing in my space." Observe it as a temporary fluctuation of energy. Third, ask yourself the ultimate question. Who is the one observing this wave? In that microsecond of inquiry, you will feel a dramatic shift. The thought of anxiety might still be there, but the you who was suffering from it has vanished. You have stepped out of the script and back into the director's chair. You have returned to the empty, peaceful vacuum of the universe. The spoon does not exist. The Instagram filter does not exist. And that broken, depressed self you've been carrying, it was just a glitch in the software all along. Delete the program. Become the space.